going on, everybody? It's Aurora coming at you with a brand new video, and unfortunately another Minecraft date was interrupted by Konami releasing new stuff, but unfortunately bread always takes over the bride. And so tonight we are covering the Centurion archetype, the final archetype to come out of deck build pack Valiant Smashers. We've already seen the Valmonica archetype and the Memento archetypes, both of which were kind of just okay, so I'm hoping that Centurion, even though apparently it's like slightly smaller in terms of size so far, we probably don't have the last few cards revealed, compared to the other archetypes, I hope it's actually like good, because the other two were kind of just they're alright. And most interestingly enough is this archetype seems to have references to both Overwatch and Gurren Lagann, which is a pretty interesting connection. But I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get started with Centurion Primera. Is a level 4 light spellcaster tuner effect with 600 attack and 600 defense, meaning that it is a prime target for Despian Lulu-Lilith. And it says you can only use the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. If it's normal or special summon, you can add one Centurion card from your deck to your hand, except Primera, but you cannot special summon Primera for the rest of the turn. Your level 5 or higher Centurion monsters cannot be destroyed by card effects while this card is treated as a continuous trap, and during the main phase while this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can special summon it. What a strange combination of effects to just like blindly jump into without knowing any of the context of the rest of the archetype. Like, yeah, on summon, you know, Stratos, that's, you know, pretty standard, especially because it can search any card. That's actually really nice. This isn't really like too much of a concern, but it's definitely a little odd without the rest of the context. This, like, you know, can be short card effects, yeah, while it's treated as a continuous trap, and then it's kind of like a weird crystal beast already. Let's go ahead and get right into the next one so we can see what the context of this is. With our next one being Centurion Trudea, or Trudeau if you're Canadian. It is a level 4 Dark Pyro effect monster with 1000 attack and 2000 defense. Says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. During your main phase, you can place this card you control and one Centurion monster from your hand or deck except Trudea face up in your spell and trap zone as continuous traps, but you cannot special summon Trudea for the rest of this turn. And during the main phase, while this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can special summon it, then you can increase its level by 4. Okay, so basically you're using the Trudea in order to put the Primera into your spell and trap zone, and then you're basically going to use the effect of Primera to immediately special summon itself probably. And then later on you can use Trudea to special summon herself as well. It feels like a very slow way to get access to your synchro monster because their boss monster is a synchro monster. It's like a level 10 or 12 or something like that. Depending on the rest of the archetype, this card is either going to be really good for the first effect or just really mid. Their final main deck monster is Centurion Emet the 6th, it looks like. Sorry, I had to like think for a second. It's a level 8 Earth Machine. Oh my god, Earth Machine. With 2000 attack and 3000 defense, a very clearly D.va inspired mecha suit. It says you can only use each effect of this card's name once per turn. During your opponent's turn, if it's in your hand or grave, quick effect, you can target one Centurion monster you control, except Emmet the 6th, place it face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap, and if you do special summon this card, and during the main phase, if this card is treated as a continuous trap, you can special summon it. To be honest, I'm not really all that impressed here. Like, all it does is get itself on board very slowly, because it's either during your opponent's turn or just a slow effect during the main phase of a treated continuous trap, you can special it, meaning you have to place it off the Trudea, and it kind of doesn't do anything on board despite being a level 8 monster in the main deck. Like, you could expect it to have some sort of, like, effect, you know? Like, maybe on summon, or if it's treated as continuous trap, you can pop a card, something like that, I'm not sure. Just anything that isn't just special summoning. Their synchro monster is Centurion Legatia, is a level 12 light machine synchro effect monster with 3500 attack and 2000 defense. Its level kind of just like confirms that they're probably gonna have a third level 4 monster. Its materials are one tuner and one or more non-tuners, and you can only use the first and third effect of this card's name once per turn. If it's special summon, you can draw one card, and then you can destroy the one face-up monster your opponent controls with the highest attack, your choice if tied. Your monsters with 2000 or less attack cannot be destroyed by battle, and during each end phase, you can place one non-synchro, Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap. So I like that it's generic, so you can at least not have to rely on going into the Centurion stuff just to make it to get the third effect. But honestly, this also doesn't do like anything too crazy. The first and second effects are good, don't get me wrong, but they're not like level 12 3500 attack boss monster good. When I think of a level 12 3500 synchro, I think of King Calamity. Overall, it feels very Menotti Prime Heart to Baron de Fleur. Their field spell is Stand Up Centurion, which is one of the I believe both of these Sorry, one of the traps and this spell right here are actually Gurren Lagann references in terms of the poses, and like the beam of light or whatever is the exact same in one of the stills from Gurren Lagann or one of the like images. I don't know. I just saw it on Twitter, okay? But it is a field spell, of course, that says you can only use the second and third effect of this card's name once per turn. It cannot be destroyed by card effects while you control a Centurion monster card. During your main phase, if it was activated this turn, you can send one card from your hand to the grave to place a Centurion from your deck face up in your spell or trap zone as a continuous trap. And if a monster is special summoned, you can immediately synchro summon your monsters using monsters you control, including a Centurion monster. So I like that this actually allows you to make the synchro easier going first, because you can actually put the level 8 immediately on board. I like the first effect of protection is pretty nice as well. It'll help if Ghost Ogre ever comes back around, I guess. And then the third effect I actually like because it does work on the opponent's turn. The one complaint I have is that it would be really cool if you could use your continuous traps as the synchro fodder, the Centurion monsters at least, but otherwise not a bad card. Their other spell is Faith of Centurion. It is a quick play that says you can only use each effect of its name once per turn. Place one Centurion monster from your hand or graveyard face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous trap, and if a Centurion synchro monster is special summoned while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card, then target one Centurion monster in your graveyard to place it as a continuous trap. So you're getting the end phase effect of the synchro and the end phase effect of the synchro. I don't know, maybe if the effects to special themselves weren't hard ones per turn, this would be a lot cooler in combination with all the other stuff that places things in the back row. But other than the special summons, there's no real benefit to having them in the back row other than Primera giving protection. So really, until we get more like monsters revealed or whatever, it doesn't really like do anything insane. Their first trap is Centurion Phalanx. It is a normal trap card that says you can only use one of the effects per turn, only once that turn. You can target one face-up monster card in the field, banish it, and if you do, special it to its owner's field during the standby phase of the next turn. And you can banish it from your graveyard, then target one Centurion Synchro monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, it loses 1500 attack. So their first effect feels like a card straight out of Labyrinth, and the second effect is the only thing that actually ties it to the Centurion archetype, and even then, its only way of getting in the graveyard 99% of the time is probably going to be by using its own effect, and it's not a bad effect, obviously. I mean, it's just Trap Tricks Putica on a purple card, but it's not really screaming like good archetypal trap card. It's screaming generic trap card that happens to have a link to that archetype. And their final card is Truth Centurion, which is the biggest Gurren Lagann reference, and it is a counter trap that, let me guess, it's a negate by having Centurion stuff. You can only activate one per turn, and when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, send a face-up monster card from your spell and trap zone to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So, I mean, you can play it in Crystal Beast, that's kind of funny, but you probably wouldn't want to do that anyway, because you'd have to get it off for Primera, that's like your only way of searching it. But, I mean, I can't really complain, it actually gives a use to having more things in your spell and trap zones that aren't there just to special summon. Also, archetypal counter traps are always pretty good. But with that being said, what do I think about the Centurion archetype so far? I think it is very much so unfinished. Like, again, only a handful of cards compared to other ones, so we'll probably have a few cards on the way to get revealed, like how the others have only one card or had only one card in case of Memento. So I'm hoping that they can do something, but other than Primera, the gimmick of being in the back row doesn't really do much. Oh yeah, and then it's Truth, the Centurion as well, counter trap. The main deck boss monster, quote-unquote, isn't really much of anything. And the Synchro monster, like I said, feels like the equivalent of summoning Menotti and Primeheart over Baron de Fleur. Like, why would you do that? A lot of their effects also don't really seem to have very much, like, in common with each other. Like, on summon, draw a card, pop something with the highest attack. They don't have anything involving drawing cards or highest attack manipulation or anything. Centurion Phalanx, again, is basically just a completely generic trap card with a second effect that happens to support Centurion. And, like, their main gimmick is a bit too gimmicky because that's all they really do. What I'm going to say overall is that the archetype feels very unfinished, and until they get, like, another Synchro and one or two more main deck monsters to actually do things with, I don't really think they're going to be doing anything anytime soon, but I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know yours down in the comments below, because that's going to do it for the video. If you liked it, please sure to leave a like, as well as put this video and the channel into your recommended. And if for this content and you want to like it, like the rest of my review series, then perhaps consider subscribing so we get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Not to mention it supports the channel more than anything else, and it's absolutely free. Also, if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome TCG merchandise in the process, check out Tapioca's link down below. Use code Aurora5 for 5% off your purchase at checkout, and to support me directly. Once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.